Well, hello to my lovely YouTube friends. This is a very special episode of Chi Time. I have my dear sisters with me. There's a song there somewhere. We are talking about the quest codes for the new Earth, which is the new book that is just out. It got released yesterday on Amazon. It's currently an ebook. It will be publicized in an actual book form very soon. But these insights from the sacred journey that we all went on together with, like 22 plus, I think it was about 27 of us on the call, wasn't there? On the program. And we're going to talk to you. We're going to let you know some of the story behind how this came about, because it was really pretty magical. And all three of us, I think, agreed that we kind of jumped in with both feet, not quite knowing exactly what we were getting into. So welcome to Chi Time, Emily Boyd and Antonia Daniek.
Yay! Thank you for having us.
Oh,
Beautiful to be here.
Oh,
thank you, Clara. It's just magical to be here together, sharing our journey.
That's it, isn't it? And it is so shared. And this theme and this team on about collaboration is really key all the way through what we've been doing here. Yes, we've been taking care of ourselves as individuals, because that's absolutely paramount, that we are responsible for ourselves, but also how we collaborate with others. So let's just backtrack a little bit and just ask you both how you got involved with this. First of all, Emily, now you and I met online, I mean, a little while ago now anyway. So and you were over in Australia at the time, weren't you? So could you tell us a little bit more about how you got invited into Quest Codes and how that journey evolved?
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, it's almost a year exactly. I think the Quest Codes was almost a year anniversary from us first meeting online in another program while I was in Australia. And I'm the only reason I am here talking about this with you now is because you, Clara, called me up and said, I've just heard about this quest. I just think you need to be a part of it. It's about New Earth leadership. I don't think you even explained it too much, because you said, I think it's best that you go and listen to the inaugural sort of introduction and make up your own mind. But honestly, when just hearing the conviction in your voice that this was something that I should do and that we could do it together, that was the activation for me. And really the conversation that I then had with the facilitator, one of the facilitators, Liam Gardner, was just icing on the cake. And it's funny how you say, yeah, it was all sort of language I hadn't heard before, hadn't heard the New Earth referred to before, hadn't heard the term codes before, not in this context. And even after the conversations, I was still a little bit like, yeah, I'm curious about what is this New Earth that we're creating? What are these codes that we're going to be discovering? But there was something about the energy and the intention and from you and from Matthew that I just thought, it's a yes. And thank God.
Yeah, exactly. It was that calling, wasn't it? The calling in. I mean, I didn't know where I was going to find the money from. And it was like, I did somehow, credit card, but it was like, my heart heard the call at this time when it's a pivotal time for every single one of us on the planet at the moment. And I didn't want to be on my own doing it anymore. I was tired of being the lone wolf, being in isolation or feeling like I was. I had great friends that weren't there, but that around the place, but where are we working together? And that's when we started working together, wasn't it, Emily, around how we're running our projects that we were wanting to do. So there was a collaboration already growing between us there. So
absolutely.
It really felt like a wonderful program to come in to go, well, let's journey together. And then we met Antonia. So how did you get called into the Quest Codes for the New Earth, lovely?
I was called into the quest by Liam Gardner. Mm-hmm. I was connected with him for some weeks, and I was part of his large Facebook group. I'm one of the speakers there. And then for me, the topic of New Earth, of new leadership came into my life from different sides. And it's really about, I was really searching for new ways of how leadership can be in the new time that we have. And then I heard him mention that there is a quest, and I jumped on his masterclass. And after half an hour, I knew I would sign up. I didn't even need to chat with him. And I didn't know what it cost because it was like Australian dollars. But for me, it was just like, oh, that's the answer. I had no idea what was coming. I had a glimpse of what a code can be, like an insight shared, or that a learning shared in a specific way to help others to unlock their potential. And it's just, I just jumped into everything. And I'm so glad I did. And I met both of you and all the others. It was just an amazing ride of self-discovery and surprises. It was really, I didn't know what was coming. And yeah, that was part of, for me, that was really part of the magic.
The magic, and also this collaborative visioning in. Is that track that we just played to begin with was around how we dream in our reality, you know, and how friggin' important that is. I think I can say that live. Friggin' important, yes. It is for us to do this, not just as individuals, but as a collective. The power we have when we work together. This is the strength that cannot be taken away from us. You know, we need to also take care of that and make sure that we are as healthy as can be, because this is how we form the new earth. And it's coming in from different angles, isn't it? It seems to be the phrase that's being used by various different collectives, but that's where we all meet. That's what it's about. Yes. So for anybody listening and watching here on Chi Time, with my lovely friends Emily and Antonia, we're talking about the quest codes for the new earth and what that means to us as individuals and how we were just drawn to it, but also what that means for humanity. So yeah, we have the micro of how we tune into what our unique gifts are, and then how we link up with others to collaborate to create a bigger gift, which is what this book is about. So who would like to speak into how this book came about?
Can I just say one tiny thing before that you just touched on before we go into the book, which is the timeliness. I think the timeliness, because we started this while in lockdown / quarantine / while the world was / is changing. So I think that was another really huge element of why, and I should say for me, of why I get involved in something like this, because I thought something needs to happen and it needs to be different and it needs to be new age, new earth, whatever word we want to put on it. So yeah, that as well was, I think, a big component.
Yeah, the timing, this pivot point, and yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Emily. Yeah, so we did go, just briefly, we did go through 6 weeks of running different tasks during the week. We all had to go live a lot, which is how we, you know, then reflect back to one another, and then sort of building relationships and friendships within that, and support networks. And then on the last week, go Antonia, let us know what happened on that last week.
Like a little before the last week, I was sitting in my garden and I had this idea drop of how about if we would bring all the insights that we collected, how if we bring this into a book and share it with the world, because I felt like it's so precious, and it's so precious to have this between us, and what ripples could we create if we share this with the world. And it was an idea, I had no idea how this can happen, but I really felt called to. So I went live in the group and I just shared from my heart the ideas I had. I did a scribble and I shared this idea. And then Matthew messaged me and he said, hold on to this idea for 2 more days. And I was like, okay, I will. And then 2 days later, we had this meeting with the group for kicking off the last week. And that was when the facilitators shared their piece of the magic. And that was why I had to hold onto my idea without going forward. So maybe one of you wants to share what happened in this call.
Okay, Em, carry on.
Yeah, so every week during the quest, we would have a theme or a challenge. It was usually fairly broad, and we'd have certain questions that we would need to respond to in terms of that challenge, all around New Earth leadership. And the last week, our challenge was, the word epic was thrown around a lot, I remember. A lot. It was basically, we're like, all right, we're creating a book. We're creating a book in a week.
Hang on. We didn't know that. So do you remember, first of all, on that live
we didn't know
course?
that. No.
Do you remember how it happened?
Yes, you're right. He just asked us a few questions. That's right. Okay, he said, I'm going to get each of you to respond to 3 questions. That's right. It was just 3 questions. We have 3 questions. We want each of you to respond to each of these questions. The questions were, no, it was a code, wasn't it? We needed to go into groups. That's what it was. We needed to go into groups of 2, to randomly chosen groups of 2, and come back with our 5 top codes and share them with the group. That was the first step, wasn't it? Yep. Go into groups of 2, choose your 5 top toads, bring them back into
toads.
Toads.
Because of course, at the end of each week, we were asked to gather 11 codes to do with the task of that week. So we had a load running around, and we were all getting off on one another's, and we all had a lot of crossovers as well, and we have expansions around it. So this honing it down to just your favorite 5 off the cuff, that was really challenging, wasn't it?
It was hugely challenging, and I think that was the first real challenge for all of us as well, to really kind of think back. 5 weeks of codes, there was at least 55 codes we'd each generated. So thinking of what were the 5 top. Anyway, we did it, and we all brought them back into the group, and they were all listed down, and we all shared. And at that point, were we given the questions then, or did we then whittle down the codes? We were given the questions, and we were requested to sort of pull all those codes together.
Was it just 3 that we were giving, wasn't it?
Exactly. So we pulled the codes together. I think Matthew and Liam Gardner did some epic combining of codes and came up with a list of around about 35.
33. Yeah.
We ended up whittling it down to 33.
Yeah.
And then he said, all right, I'm going to read through these codes, and if they speak to you, you can volunteer to speak to these codes, which was the next challenge. We had 3 questions that we needed to answer in response to the code that we chose, which was, what does this code mean to me? What does this code mean to humanity? Why is it important to humanity? And why is this code important to the new earth? So he read through the codes. We each put our hand up if the code sounded like something we could speak into. And we were then told to leave the group meeting for no more than 15 minutes, jump into the group, go live, and respond to these 3 questions for each of the 3 codes that we had just chosen, on the spot.
On the spot. Totally random. Well, not totally random, but very much in the tune of how this whole program was running. Was don't think about it too much. Go with what your heart is drawing from you, what is wanting to come through you, and being very clear, being like a clear channel, being your clear channel for truth to shine through. And then it's because we were so used to going live by then, it was just like, okay, let's just do it live. And then
not knowing at this point that it was a book. So you're right.
Yeah, exactly. So then what happened next? We all landed back in the call. The call was still running. We'd all done our 15 minutes. And what happened next, Antonia? Do you remember?
The next thing was that Matthew said, okay, now you can transcribe all of this. And now you have at least 35,000 words for a book.
And we all went, what?
We all went, what? And for me, it clicked, because I thought, okay, they gave me a shortcut to really get this book creation going. Or he gave all of us this shortcut, because now we had all the content already there. And I think this was the piece that made it possible to really put it all together in 5 days.
I think it was. And I hope it's okay that we have shared that piece of the program with everybody, but it was such an integral part of how this book came through so swiftly, because then him and Greg and Kerryn were saying that now you've got a week to produce a book. Who wants to edit it? And guess who put a hand up?
Who wants to be the head manager, and then who wants to be a support team? So immediately we had like, I put my hand up for coordinating the whole project, and immediately we had 8 people being supporting managers or whatever, editors. And then in the next step afterwards, the editing team grew to 11 people. So we had 11 people from different time zones, with Emily being the head editor.
She's the queen of the Google Docs. I have learned so much. But this is it. We were working with our strengths of what was coming through to support the whole project. And it was so beautiful, wasn't it? Like you were saying, when you had to get some sleep, because we're in Europe here, and we had quite a lot of the contingent were in Australia. So they were able to pick up when we had to go to sleep. And so it kept rolling, didn't it?
Yeah. And one thing that happened in the night after our call was that one of the participants, Joan, she's a graphic designer, which we all didn't know at that point. And in that night, she received 22 code signs, which later she developed into 33. So each and every of the code has their own symbol. And
flash that up there a little bit. If you're watching on the video, there's a few examples there.
And this was just adding to the magic. It was different talents coming up. And with Emily holding the whole team together, it even gave me the opportunity, for one thing, to experience how it can be to work with a team. And then the second thing was really precious, was I could tune off a whole day, go offline. I knew they would continue. And I was able to receive the cover picture, like the drawing for the cover. And it was a 12-hour journey. And I did a lot of scribbling. I will just show it here.
Yeah, go for it. Actually, if you can just speak some more, then we can put you straight on.
And it's really, it has all the different elements. It has the different directions. I was pulling cards. I asked which of the animals want to be in there. I have all the different human tribes together, even star beings. So it's really about everything coming together in one big circle. And in the middle, there was a space where I put a sign language sign, which I was drawing, which was also activated through the whole quest, because one of the participants, Andrew, he was speaking a lot of sign language, light language. And this activated another part of my art. So it really came, again, a lot of things together in a very sacred way, I would say. And it's a blessing for the book and for the world.
It is. It was just proper magic in action. As you say, this inspiration from Joan creating codes to you having space. So Emily was holding the space so that you could bring through the vision, because it was like you were going, oh, there's so much to do. How am I going to create the artwork? And then it's like, well, you don't have to do everything. And that's one of the key messages that came through a lot of this, was that we don't have to do it all.
Yes.
And that's so huge, isn't it?
So much of it just flowed. And it also, the poems that emerged, like a few people ended up saying, well, my kind of code ended up coming out more as a poem. And then someone else said, yeah, mine too. And then someone else said, actually, I kind of wrote a poem in the last week. Can we include that? And all of a sudden we had poems that were supporting the codes. And so it was incredible. And you're right, the light language that Andrew had been speaking into the group has sort of, it's part of our little video promotion documentary, where we infuse his light language, all these little elements that just, we didn't necessarily plan them, but they emerged as and when they should, from people that we didn't even expect them to emerge to. I don't think a lot of us even knew that you had a book cover in you, Antonia, especially one that looks like this. I mean, I know this is,
I didn't know.
A lot of people won't be seeing this. You'll be hearing it, but make sure you go online if you're not watching this on video, and just at least to look at the cover. I mean, it is an inspired creation in and of itself. So it's just beautiful to witness.
Yeah. The levels of creativity. So the creativity coming through the word, the creativity coming through our hearts with the expression. What's natural for you? What's your natural creativity? And how is that linking or being inspired or inspires others by living in the truth of our hearts and our expression? That is a natural way of igniting it within others.
Yes.
And it's just been shown how beautiful this can be when we let ourselves be true to ourselves. And I was just going to read through the list of the areas around these quest codes, these moral codes. The first area is around trusting yourself. The second is about essence. Now that's a word that was used a lot. You know, what is your essence? How is you? Yeah. And we were talking about the 4 levels of that, weren't they? Does anyone talk into that? Do you want to say something about that? And Antonia, about the different...
I can speak into that. Yes. Well, the whole like every week we spoke into 4 different levels of awareness or of consciousness. So the first level was the small I. It's the personality. It's where we have body, mind, spirit, where we still have an ego. And then the second one was the big I, which is our essence, which is what lands in our body. It's like our soul level, our soul path. And the fourth level, the third was humanity. It's like, what is it? What does this mean for humanity? And the fourth one is, what does this mean to the all that is? And so every topic, every code, we really reflected on the different levels, because we have different meaning and different intensity and different ripples in the different levels. And that was, to me, that opened a whole new way of seeing things and new dimensions of possibilities and everything.
Yeah, exactly. So that we can inhabit these different levels of consciousness in the now moment. Yes. So that now moment expands into our multi-dimensional awareness. And that's what I think this new earth is about. It's not just the 3D here and now. We talk about 5D. Well, what is that? It's existing on our different levels. Do you want to say something about that, Emily?
Yeah, it's so what came through just then is that I think a lot of people find that personal development, I know one person in my vicinity thinks it's a lot of navel gazing, like looking at ourselves, into ourselves, a lot of introspection. But what I love about these 4 dimensions is that it was just as much about the outer world, humanity. Yes, we had to delve into ourselves to find, you know, what was true, that true essence that we were operating and living from. But what does that mean for those that are around us? And even more, like, what does that mean for the world at large? All that is spirit, source, Mother Nature, call it what you will. It's not just, you know, it wasn't just about who are we and why are we here. It was so much more, is so much more.
And this is what's contained in the book, Quest Codes for a New Earth. So the list, we got trust and essence, then we went on a nice little journey around that, and then it was be yourself, which we've already touched in with here, and then beyond the self, definitely, and then the activating the new earth. This is this collective dreaming of holding the vision, no matter what you're being shown by mainstream. It's so key at the moment, isn't it? Yes. To really hold that clarity of vision and to know there's others that hold similar visions to you, that we're not mad. We are actually here for a reason on the earth at the moment, holding each other's hands and being compassionate to those that are struggling, that those that are confused, and all the difficulties are in the world. Our hearts go out to them, really, but can't get stuck in that Maya. We can't get stuck in that dystopia. That's not going to actually help. So when we vision in the new earth, when we activate the new earth, yes, there's affirmations there's quantum leadership. And I think that the leadership piece was something that really invited you in, didn't it, Antonia?
Yes, a lot. And it's really, and that's the whole book. Even when it's about me, it's about see yourself or beyond self. It's all leadership. I think the new leadership really starts very, very much in us. It starts with us being true to who we are. It starts with us trusting our intuition and trusting what drops in, even if we don't know how. Like with the book or with other things, or like joining this quest, whatever. It's like really trusting what drops and then going forward. And very often we have no idea where it can lead us. And I think that's the magic piece. Even collaborating with others, very often we don't know where it will lead us. And then the universe can do its magic, and then magical things can happen because we start moving. I call it the dancing with the universe.
Exactly.
We have a code on that as well. Because it's really, once we get moving, here in Germany you have a saying, it says the universe dances with those on the dance floor. So it's really, the moment we start moving, things can happen. the moment, and even if we set an intention, it's moving, right? We can set an intention, we can take action, we can connect with people, and we can have sacred alliances, which was one of the pieces that was very precious to me as well.
I think
beyond a physical project that we have together, like we can walk side by side, and we can feel this new earth and live this new earth together, even though we don't have physical projects where we say, okay, we do this together, we do that together. We can, but even if we don't have concrete projects, we can co-create in moving forward together and holding this big vision together.
Oh, I am so glad you mentioned Sacred Alliance, because when it comes to collaboration, when you trust Sacred Alliance or you honor Sacred Alliance, then it makes it a lot easier or smoother to work alongside others, because the egos aren't in the way. It's we're all in this together and working. We care about each other. You know, we want to support one another, and if someone's having a difficult time, we're there for each other. If someone's having a wonderful time, we're there to share it. And I just think that's been such a beautiful way of expanding what collaboration means into Sacred Alliance. Poetry in motion, that. Yeah, really. In fact, we're going to have to wrap this up soon. So let's just talk about a Sacred Alliance that occurred around producing the video to to help advertise the release of this amazing book that's now out on Amazon. You can go and search for it, Quest Codes for a New Earth, Insights from a Sacred Journey. And so it kind of came through me to begin with, didn't it? This ignition
it did.
Of because we hadn't seen it. We'd been writing and connecting with one another still after the program had finished, but we hadn't seen anybody do any videos for a while. And I just thought, wouldn't it be great to just invite members of the crew to come in and do like a short video about the code of their choice, or something about the program or the New Earth, and just come in and then we could. I just saw it all go together really easily. Like, we'll just plop it all in and it'll be a nice little video. Bosh. And then I mentioned it to you, and you quite liked the idea, didn't you?
Oh, I love the idea. And Emily was really active in there. So while I was
brilliant.
Still with the text, the two of you started this co-creation of, I think you, Emily, you asked the group, right? You transmitted.
Yeah, we asked
vision.
That's right. We sort of whittled it down to a few questions. We thought, what will people actually want to hear, apart from some examples of the codes? And I think the questions were, what are the New Earth codes? Why are they important to humanity? And what a sneak peek of some of the codes. So we sort of, again, dished that out to whoever wanted to be involved in the video. And the responses were beautiful, weren't they? People just
my goodness. And so this help and support, because I was already pretty busy. And I'm like, how are we going to do this? And we go, let's do it together. Again, you don't have to do it all yourself. Mm-hmm. It's like, I do need some tech team for Chi Time, by the way. Anyone out there that wants to come and help, I'd love to hear from you. So we thought, how do we do this? Because Em's over in Germany in the Black Forest. I'm in Somerset on the Avalon land. How are we going to actually work this? Who's going to hold the mother file? What are we going to do here? And we had a bit of troubleshooting that needed to occur. And we just did this creative management that was just blew me away. And it was just such fun, as well as I think quite frustrating at times as well. Like, why isn't this working? But we got through it together. And it was like, yes. So I thank you so much for all the support that you gave me to help get that mother file sorted and up and out there.
Absolutely. No, my pleasure. My pleasure. It was so beautiful to get all those voices and faces out there. We've kind of got their voices in writing, but to have the voice,
all our accents.
We're saying all our accents, exactly, because we've got Scottish accents and French accents and Australian accents and British accents and German accents, and just like to have all of that in video and really give everyone, it is a long video for the attention spans of this day and age, but it was, I think, giving everyone their chance to kind of really speak into
And we even had light language coming in from Andrew.
So what the bit of magic you just mentioned.
Yes.
So we're sitting there going, right, I need some music on the end, because like Chi Time, I like to have a little intro and outro, and we've got a lovely track coming up for you shortly. It was like, who's done some music? Is this the music? And there was lovely Amelie, and then Emily found her track that she'd done in the code, so we dropped it in. Then we couldn't get hold of her, and we're like, we can't use that without getting her permission, and writing a message from that angle and that angle and that angle. It's like, oh, what do we do? And so we put it out to the group. Anybody else got any music going on? And then Andrew comes back going, I could do you some light language. And we're like, yes. And he did a specific piece after he had just been hanging out with some whales or something. What's the story about that?
He was watching a video with whales and whale songs, and after that he did the light language for the video.
So we have Amelie on the front with beautiful guitar, and then we have Andrew on the back with his beautiful, it's deep, but it's so playful. His light language is so heartening. It just makes you smile. And I'm really glad that it got in there, because you can't write that. You need to listen to it, and it resonates with your heart. So just that little seed of an idea, bringing video, which you can see on Chi Time TV, my YouTube channel, which you're probably watching this on, those of you watching live, because we are actually live on YouTube, which is what I dare my guests to do these days, because why not? But let's do this again. I think I'd like to invite some more of our collaborators in to actually speak into some of the codes, because each and every one of them has got such richness to them, and it will inspire and ignite you into bringing these ripples of not just positivity. There's wisdom, there's depth, and there's inspiration. There's stuff we don't even know about, but I think we know we're on the right track, aren't we?
Yeah. And what I feel is that reading or hearing the codes can also encourage each and every one of us to find more codes on our own. Like, the idea of the book is for the reader to be inspired to go out and find their own codes.
Yes.
And so this is really the magic. It's encouraging us to be aware and be awake and find our own keys, because it's different for everyone. That's why in the book we have different people speaking to the same code, and it's different for every person. Yeah. So the encouragement is really to go out and find your own codes and be aware of what you learn and apply it, and use it in your life and in the co-creation process.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much. You're so eloquent, Antonia. How many languages do you speak?
3.
3. Just the 3.
What's the third language?
3. Spanish, but it's not fluent.
But it's fun. Yeah.
It's fun.
We didn't have any Spanish people in on it. Maybe another time. But how can people find out more about this book? Where can they go?
Well, we have a link tree, which is called the New Earth Quest Codes book. And we have a Facebook page, which is also the New Earth Quest book. And there are all the links and everything. And very soon we will also have the paperback, and we will even have a journal for your own codes.
Oh, nice. And there's all sorts of products. As soon as we all get together and go, have you thought of that or this or that? It just comes through us, doesn't it? It just wants to continue.
The journal landed weeks ago. And it will come with the paperback book, because it's an invitation to create your own.
Absolutely. And that's it. I love it. I love it. I love you too as well. Oh,
thank you for having us.
So welcome. And you can, of course, you can also get hold of the book on Amazon as well, and look it up on there. So we've got a special track to play you now. So this is a remix of Bob Marley's One Love, and done by Bill Laswell on the Dreams of Freedom album. So I think we all agreed that this was lovely to bring in that unity consciousness of like one love is what connects us. It is all that is. It's what we're about now, bringing through the energy of the new earth. So enjoy this, and thank you so much for listening or watching. If you're on YouTube, you're going to have to hop over to UK Health Radio when this comes out during the week to hear that track. But otherwise, thank you all so much for everything you do. I love you all, and may you go well.
For having us.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Keep your chi up, my friends.